Hi everybody, I'm Ruchika Bindra, and on this week's episode of Hashtag No Filter, we are talking about breaking into the Canadian talent industry. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back, Hashtag No Filter viewers, to everybody all across Toronto and GTA. I'm Ruchika Bindra, and you are watching today's episode of Hashtag No Filter. With me today is our amazing team panelists that are here to contribute to lots of information. We have Nikki, Cora, and Tyler. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks
Heyo.
for coming on. We also have our social media guru who will be taking in your tweets live during the show. So, Cassandra, hello.
Hi, Ruchika. So, as Ruchika said, all show will be taking tweets. So, if you tweet at NoFilterRogers, we can answer your question or comment.
So joining us today, later on in the show, is a very, very special guest. She is the president of AMP Talent. It is a full-blown talent agency. It is an international talent agency, and I'm very excited to sit down with her and really talk about how to break into this industry. Where is acting today? How have the dynamics changed? What can millennials do? And get some advice from someone like her who's so established. And so I'm really excited to actually have her on our show today. So before we bring her on, I'm going to sit with you guys and, as I like to call it, crack some of the codes and the questions. So a lot of people have tweeted us on this idea of how do we enter the industry? I know, Cora, this is a profession you want to go into.
Yes.
What are your biggest sort of questions and concerns?
Well, I know that I've obviously asked that question, how do I get into the industry? And everyone says your first step is to get a talent agent. And honestly, I've tried that step like quite a few times, and it's hard. The whole industry is very competitive, and they're not always looking for people, or maybe you're just not the right look, and it just doesn't always work out. So I think it's all about timing.
Do you ever feel like you have a certain idea in mind of a talent agent you imagine, and then you go in and it's different from that?
I think sometimes, like, I've been with an agency before, and you expect now, oh, like, it's just, I'm setting sail from here, and then you go in and it's not like that. You don't start right away with all these big picture films. It's not like that.
Right, so there's a process, which I know we're going to talk to Anne a little bit about later, but I know typically, and I always say this to a lot of teens and millennials that I meet across the way, and I say that it doesn't matter at what stage that you are. If you want to enter the entertainment business, there's no right or wrong time. You know, you can enter it when you're ready to do it, when you're ready to put that hard work, when you're actually ready to give in something to it. It's like someone saying, I'm going to open a store, I'm going to start a business. You're going to have an initial investment, you're going to have an initial cost, you're going to have to put something in to get something back. And if, as you said, if you're going to, you know, expect to sign with somebody and the next day be featured in Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it can, but I don't necessarily think it's necessarily that way.
Yeah.
And if you read, I always read a lot of the biographies of lots of famous Hollywood actors. A lot of them say they failed sometimes close to 200 to 300 auditions. You know, and when I say fail, I kind of should reword it as they don't actually get those auditions. But it doesn't mean that they, you know, didn't get the final one that made it to where they are today. So sometimes it is timing. It's also you just fitting the role. And I'm sure, you know, Anne will be able to kind of help us decode that a little bit. Tyler, I know you were talking a little bit before at the start of the show about how now more natural faces are coming in. So can you tell me what that discussion was?
Basically, it's like people aren't looking for more like exotic faces. They're not looking for like supermodels. They're more looking for real people that audiences can like really relate to and get to know. It's like, oh, I'm not like that person at all. But then they see someone come on screen that's like more or less like them, and they're like, that's something I can relate to, and that's when more people are going to start watching. So
well, it's also because media is changing, the way we communicate is changing, right? So back then it was the beauty of motion pictures and film and TV was so typical. You know, you always looked for the beauty pageant girl. She'd win a pageant, she'd end up in a beauty commercial. You know, the really good looking guys selling the beer to you. And today, you know, more and more real people are on because that's what people relate to. They're aware of, you know, where we stand in society and how we want to see ourselves. If I'm going to watch a commercial and I want to buy a product, I want to see somebody that looks somewhat relatable to me.
Yeah.
If I see this drop dead gorgeous girl and I mean she's selling me night cream, I don't know necessarily if I'm going to be too like, you know, believable that the product's going to work because I'm like, you already are so stunning. So you're right, and I think that's a really good point for millennials, which is great in our advantage versus our parents, because I was even having this discussion with my mom the other day, and she said, you know, in her time, it was so hard for girls and guys to get into acting and to get into, you know, being on camera, because it was almost this unattainable aspect, you know. You had to win sort of the Starlight Search, or you had to win this reality show, and you know, you had to win a pageant, and it was like you were the new discovered star. Or you know, you used to sit in a coffee shop and hear like, oh, a talent agent scouted me, and it was very overhyped. And she said today they want more real people, because roles are being casted for all kinds of people, right? You have people with different skin colors, and you have people that are bigger and broader, and you know, a car commercial is going to look like a real mom and dad going to help their kid buy her first car. So personally, I think for millennials more than ever, it's the best time for us.
It's no longer the all or nothing mentality.
Yeah, because it used to be that. I know we have a tweet from Cassandra, so before, because when I go on talking, I never stop, so I know all of the tweets we're getting are coming in. So Cass, would you like to start with one?
Yeah, sure. So we got a tweet in, and it says, what qualifies you as beautiful in the industry? So what do you guys think are the people who are getting the most jobs right now?
Can I just tell you, I think that's a really good question, and before we throw it to everybody, can you remind me to ask this question to Anne when she comes out, because I'm very curious to know what a talent agent would have to say about this, especially someone like her who's seen the business change. So, Nikki, for beauty, where do you think it stands today?
I don't even know. Like, for example, CoverGirl just hired their first cover boy. Like, CoverGirl
That's phenomenal.
was always just women.
Yep.
Only went to women, and now they have their first cover boy. So beauty is definitely changing. I don't feel like you can put a description on it. And I think that's what's beautiful about it. So it kind of opens Pandora's box.
I really love that they did that, because makeup has always been so limited to women.
Yeah.
And from a commercial standpoint, they're losing out on such a big business, because more and more men are going into personal grooming. You know, I'm not saying they're going to have contour and highlighters.
Have you been on Instagram?
I'd be down for that.
Like,
So I totally think it's something that the more we see in society, the more we see in commercials, the more it helps.
sure.
It's just
Right?
becoming more normalized.
Yeah. Do you still think that acting is something that you have to be trained in, or do you think acting is something you can learn?
Ooh, it's a little of both.
Yeah.
And I also think it depends on the person. There are people who can learn to do a talent. And then you have those people who are just genuinely born with something, and it's a passion, it's a fire that drives them.
Right.
So it depends, but I mean, you can teach old dogs new tricks, right?
I think in the end, it's more about determination than talent or skill, because if the person with talent doesn't have the determination to do anything, then it's just sort of wasted. They may peter out, while the person who wasn't born with that talent but is still working hard is continuing to keep going.
Hold that thought. On the other side of the break, we are going to bring on stage Anne-Marie Perreault. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Rich Kabinder, and you are watching #NoFilter. I am very excited to have with us here Anne-Marie Perreault from AMP Talent. She's not only the president of it, she's also one of the most known talent agents, not just in Toronto, I think internationally. So I'm very excited to have you on.
Thank you, Rishika.
Thank you so much for coming. So I know it's a busy time for you. You're closing things up, you're wrapping things up. So the Canadian media industry is always changing.
Yes.
How long have you been in this business?
13 years running my company, and then 4 years before that.
Wow. And
Wow.
so tell us a little bit, tell our audience a little bit about your background. How did you sort of get into it, and why did you find there was a need for this profession?
Right. Well, there is no real training as an agent. There wasn't when I started. There is now. Some of the schools in Toronto offer that, which is great. I started acting young and as a child at home, playing with skits and all that sort of thing. And then I got into theater in school. And then my parents ran a business, and I was always business-minded and wanted to do something. But wasn't ready at 21 to start my own business. Not like you now. You're all starting your own businesses, which is amazing.
Yes.
But I wanted to get experience first. So I started for a big agency in Vancouver, and they were a really well-known big agency for commercials. And I started there and spent my years training there. So I started as the general manager and principal agent, and I ran their children's division and then their adult division a little bit later on, supervising that. And so that gave me a lot of groundwork in meeting casting directors and producers and learning how to work with talent and parents, especially for kids. And then I moved into feature film production after I left the agency for a little while, and that agency closed after I left, shortly after. And then I was recruited to come to Toronto, and I started my own agency a few years after I moved here. So that was
Were you
my
nervous?
beginning. Yes and no, not just because it was a new city and I didn't know anyone, right? So it was very exciting, and I'd heard how amazing Toronto was. So I started the agency, and it was quite a success rate from the start, and I had some great talent. I started a company called the Canadian Actors Symposium at the same time that I started AMP Talent, and the Canadian Actors Symposium was to help me to meet new talent. So I hired all the casting directors and producers and directors, and they came, and we scouted talent for a year, and we did 2 symposiums, and that helped to get sort of the creme de la creme talent, and that's how I started the company. And then, you know, that's
13 years later.
13 years later, here I am. Yeah.
Fully known in the industry. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's one of the most basic questions that, if you were watching a little bit before we were talking about, is can anybody honestly act if they say, okay, I want to be in film, I want to be in TV, I want to be on screen? Is there sort of a point where you're like, no, this is not for you? Or do you think acting can be something you develop and learn?
It can be both.
Okay.
So I've had models turned actors, singers turned actors, dancers turned actors, because there's a point that you can go in dance, for example. Then if you're not a triple threat, what else are you going to do, right? In order to make a living and do what you love, which is performing, which dance is an art and it's a performance in itself. So they often take training at that point to go into acting, and certainly commercials is where they get their start. They may not be the next, famous actor, but they certainly have, if they work hard and they, put their best foot forward and be positive, they can be successful. So, even if you don't have a lot of talent, you can be beautiful and outgoing and have a great personality and have great improv skills. And so maybe your career is in commercials and you do a lot of commercials for a while, a couple of years before you get into TV.
Get comfortable. Everyone's path, I think, is different too, and that's important for people to realize, because we read stories of all these glorious sort of famous people, and we sometimes don't realize that everyone's path and journey is different.
It is. That's right. And you should enjoy the journey and not try and rush it, because it's part of the process. And the people that you meet on the bottom are going to be, you're going to see them on the way up as well, on the top. So, it's having a good positive outlook and good communication. I can definitely drive that home with millennials. It's really important to have good communication with your agent, and not, and then it really helps your career, because there's a lot I understand that you don't know, and I'm here to mentor you and help you and give you guidance so that you make the right decisions. And I always say to my talent, it's your decision, and I'll give you the pros and the cons, and you make your decision.
And I think that's really good that you kind of are honest with them. That's, I think, an important aspect, because a lot of, there's preconceived notions, right? When you look at movies or you look at TVs, your talent agent and you, it's scary. It's like, oh my God, how do I approach my talent agent? And I remember when I met you, you said that communication is the most important thing in this industry. It is so important. If you communicate, I'm helping you at the end of the day. And I think that fear, that stigma is changing now with millennials, because we're building relationships with people. And I think with a lot of your actors, I see that you kind of have that open
rapport.
Communication, that very
and you
honest.
build that rapport.
Yeah. And it takes time, because it's almost like you're working so closely. It's like a coach, I always think. Your hockey coach, you're about to harness your skills. So you have that relationship. Sometimes they're tough on you, but they're pushing you for the right reasons, right? I know we can see Cass has a few tweets coming through on Twitter. So Cassandra, go ahead and pick one.
Okay, so now that we have our guest on the show, we got a tweet in from Samantha, and it says, do you need lots of training to do well? What makes a good portfolio, and does it matter where you go? So I think she's trying to ask, how can you get an agent, and does it matter which agency you go to?
So the right person, I'll hand it totally over to you.
So, you know, when you're looking for an agent, I recommend you go to the various websites online of the various agencies and review them, you know, research them, look at their, look at their talent. For example, with A&P Talent, we have all our clients online. We're one of the only agencies that have our entire roster online. Wow. So you can go through there and you can see, oh, they've got three girls that are similar age, but they don't look like me, so that's great. Yep. And I'm going to apply. So then that's a good start. But you can also see our social media, like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and you can check all that out. And there's lots of great stuff on there of all our clients that have booked work and success stories. And then we also have a blog that we keep up to date every month. We have new blog posts that go out and lots of great tips and everything on comedy acting and voice acting and television acting, film acting, and everything in between, auditions and tips. So, you know, reading all that, that's what the best feedback that I get often is talent saying, you know, there's so much there, it's amazing, and so I get a good feeling. So it's really about good feeling, and then you come in and, you know, it's just as much as you're looking for someone, we're looking for someone too. So first of all, if you get an audition and you're invited in, that's fantastic. We already see there's something in you that we like. You may not have the most experience, or maybe you do, but even if you don't worry, you could start in commercials if you've got great improv skills. So we put you through a series of meetings, which are, you know, to get to know each other and to make sure that we're a good fit, right? And that we're going to work together as a team. So that's the process we work through at A&P Talent, and it makes everyone feel comfortable so that they know they're making the right decision.
Right. On the other side of the break, we're going to ask her some of her success stories and what she recommends for new actors just starting out. Stay tuned, everybody. I'm Ruchika Bindra, and we are talking with Anne-Marie Perreault on #NoFilter. Welcome back to #NoFilter, everybody. I'm Ruchika Bindra, and we are getting all the creme de la creme answers, so everybody's soaking it in with Anne-Marie Perreault from A&P Talent. So, Anne, we were talking about communication. So you've come in, you've nailed this interview, you know, your talent agent is like, okay, I like you, you like them. What's next?
Right. So there's steps in getting a talent started. If they haven't already been with an agency, there's a couple of casting systems you need to be placed onto. And then we also need professional photos. So a series of shots. Usually I like to have about 4 different looks, depending on the type of work you're going to be going out to.
Okay.
So a host will have host shots, a couple host shots, and then commercial shots, maybe some television shots, and, you know, a comedian would have a series of shots. So depending on the market, so it's always tailored to what you need. So having professional headshots in the beginning when you submit to an agent is great, but you can also get some guidance on that too from your agent, so you don't have to spend a lot of money in the beginning. And that's a great tip to take away.
No, that's something I think that's phenomenal, because I know you were saying that it's great to have sort of pictures, and a lot of people are very like, oh my God, I have to invest when I start. Oh my God, I have to start off on that. And I always tell this to young millennials and teens that I meet, that anything is a business, right? You're investing in it. It's for your own self. If you're not going to have the best of your best to show to somebody, what is your talent agent going to work with? So how do you kind of recommend to people what photographers to take, or do you sort of say they have to take yours? Like, how does it work when you're new in this industry and you don't know, and you get information from so many different people?
Right. So there's lots of great photographers in Toronto, and more getting in the business all the time. The agents generally work with the same photographers, like a series of them that really shoot often. So they're really extremely on the cutting edge of what we're looking for and what our clients, the advertising agencies, are, you know, demanding, because they want really high-end photos too to show their clients. So we give you a list or give you names of referrals, and you check out their websites. They don't work for us. They're independent photographers, and you check out their websites, and we might say this one will be better over this one simply because of the work that you're going to be going out to.
Right.
But you can discern, you can check them out, and then you can set up an appointment, and then we can give you direction on what to bring and all the
kind of guide them
stuff
through for it, right? And typically, if you're new, how many auditions do you normally think people? Is there sort of, I guess, a set number that, okay, you've gone to 50 and you're not getting any work? Will you then sit down and establish with them what's missing? Like, how do you kind of gauge where their growth is?
If you're getting auditions, that's great.
Okay.
If you're getting callbacks, that's great.
Okay.
It's all positive. It means that if you're getting auditions, it means someone likes you and wants you to bring in.
Okay.
And if you're getting a second audition for the same casting house, they like you. They want to keep bringing you in. So it's all positive. There's no if the auditions stop, that's when you have to go. What happened? Why am I not going out anymore? Right? So and in terms of the amount of auditions, it could be we can't say for sure because that's out of our hands.
Right.
We do the work of submitting you and marketing you to the various casting companies, producers and directors, etc. And then they decide who they're going to bring in, right, from the suggestions we make. So we are, well respected and known for picking the right talent, not submitting the whole roster when we submit a client, right? And then choosing, like, they want a blonde, we might send them 2 or 3 to choose from, or we send them different types of looks depending on if they're looking for all ethnicities and all backgrounds or all types. So auditions are good. If you're getting callbacks, it's great. And so.
And I know this is probably a question that you're like, if you should answer or not, but maybe now that because you're such a known talent agency in the industry, do you like saying no? I know the
Absolutely.
bigger it gets, the harder it is. So I know you're very, very picky in your roster, and you're known sort of to have a very specific
Straightforward.
set. Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that, but I'm just wondering, is it hard?
No, not really.
Okay.
And some of the people are, because I'm kind about it. I'm not, I don't shut them down because some people are just not ready. And there's nothing that warms my heart more than, even 6 years later, I've had clients who were kids when they worked with me as an agent, and now they're 19, 20 or whatever, going to university, and they contact me and said, or they take a couple years to do the training, and I've given literally, I'm sure, thousands of talent over the years advice on what they should be doing specifically for their career. And whether or not they take it, and when they do, I'm always really pleased to get calls or emails and saying, I'm ready and I feel I took your advice and I've taken all these courses and I'm ready to go out.
So sometimes you have to say no, I guess.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And people appreciate it. And actually, 8 times out of 10, sometimes it's no. So you'd be surprised. Because again, it's all timing and when you're ready. And you might come to me and realize that the commitment is just, you can't commit because auditions happen 24 to 48 hours in advance.
Yes.
So you have to be available for an audition during the work week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So unless you have a flexible job.
It's very hard.
Right.
And do you feel that deteriorates a lot of people starting off?
No, because I think they hopefully do their research, but when they discover that, that may, indicate that they may need to take a step back and come back in the spring or when the school's finished, and that's fine too. So you're getting ahead of the game, and it's helpful. You're getting everything, all your ducks in a row. So when you are ready,
you're ready to
go
with a full bang.
Exactly.
Cassandra, one more quick tweet.
Okay, so you guys have been talking a lot about going to auditions and whatnot. So we have a tweet, it says, how do you handle setbacks and fails in auditions, and how can you handle rejection in the best way? So, like you said, not everyone's ready to be an actor right away. So if you say no to someone, or one of your actors goes to an audition and they get negative feedback, what's the best advice you can give them?
Generally, I would say, with feedback that you get, it's always working towards something. So if you go and the feedback is, maybe there was a bad actor in the room and you're really great at improv and that actor wasn't able to perform and you feel like that threw you off. That's a good example. Yeah. And so the casting directors or whoever's in the room, the clients are going to see that and see you did well, and it's just holding your own, and it's all about learning how to audition well. Yes. Right? As I said earlier, Rachel McAdams loves to audition, and she says she loves to fight for something. So, 80% of the audition is showing up, 20% is your talent, timing, chemistry, and matching up with the other actors in the room. And, you leave it at the door when you leave.
And I remember I asked you that because I finished my first audition and I said, oh my God, I went to such a phenomenal, I think in the month that I started, I went to some of the biggest names that you can go for Canadian commercials. And I was like, this is amazing. And I'm like, I didn't get one call back. And you said to me, it's not sometimes just the work you're doing. It's also what's around you. It's the group of people, what they're looking for. If you're doing a family scene, if everybody else is not fitting in with sort of what they envision, there's so many things.
Exactly.
Right? And I think learning to leave it and let go and keep going, I think is one of the most challenging things for millennials, because we almost sometimes feel a little entitled, very honestly. We feel like, well, we should be getting everything.
But doesn't it help to be able to talk to me?
It does.
And like I tell the talent to call after an audition, to call after a callback, or send an email or a text even, and just say that went really well, to connect. connect, and that makes you feel good because you know there's communication
Someone
happening.
is there.
Or even after a job, let me know how it went.
Yep.
Right.
Wonderful. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk to Anne a little bit more, and some of our panelists are going to come up with their top 2 questions to ask her. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back, #NoFilter viewers. Thank you so much for all your tweets and messages. Cassandra is going through them, and we will take a few more tweets throughout the show. So, Nikki, I know you wanted to ask a few questions. I will give you the time now.
I do. We've heard so many great things. I just wanted to know how you can get into AMP. What are the steps that you take into being a part of this talent group, having an agent through you guys?
Sure. So you can apply online. The website has an application form, and you can fill in the application. It's all very straightforward, and we actually get applications from around the world.
Wow.
Like, you'd be amazed. I'm amazed at some of the applications from Japan, from Russia, from
Wow.
London, from
Okay.
South Africa. I mean, it's amazing. So people from the world access that, but obviously we're focused on the Canadian market, and we do have clients in the United States and the UK. But so you can fill out the application online and submit. If you don't have a professional headshot, just take a really good picture of yourself and submit it. It can be a selfie. And if you create some sort of resume would be
Yes.
great, a PDF or Word doc, and you can send that over, and then we review all the applications, and then we invite you. We have auditions once a week, and we have our clients come in, or new talent come in for auditions, and we give you a full idea of what to expect when we invite you to an audition, so you're not, you know what you need to do.
And there's so many different talent agencies, right? Should you shop around?
Certainly.
Like, do you tell sort of, somebody that comes in, okay, I like you, but I want you to shop around? Or do you encourage it for new actors coming into the industry?
It depends on the situation. So some new talent will say, I'm going to see this other agent or this agent, and I say that's great, because then you can compare,
Yes.
and then you know what we offer compared to what they offer, or and you can also just, maybe we're a good fit, or maybe you're a better fit with them, and that's okay. So I totally encourage it. It's fine.
It's a small industry, so communication is equally.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
good for you for getting 3 auditions with agents.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
That's phenomenal.
You know?
What's one success story that you have seen that has kind of always resonated with you, related to, I guess, AMP talent, of course?
Well, that's hard, because there's been quite a few, actually.
That's good to hear.
And so I probably the most, I guess, I've had, for a host, I had a client that started in doing beer commercials and a lot of alcohol commercials, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah, but he was a really good-looking guy,
Yeah.
so it worked.
Okay.
And then he broke out and got one of the biggest reality shows on TV, and he was very successful in the first season. And then he moved on to daytime television, and now on a major network show. So
That's phenomenal.
So that's exciting. And then for film and TV, I've had clients that are 2 years or a year in training, and then get a reoccurring, lead on an episodic. So whether it be a Family Channel episodic or Disney or, something on CTV. So those have all happened.
That's exciting.
And then I had another client who went on to really big things. He was in Age of Adeline, and he was, so he was in Disney movie and a bunch of different stuff, and Avatar, and then he played a young Harrison Ford in Age of Adeline. So
that's exciting to know. And in terms of, once you get your portfolio done, you have your pictures done, now it's left with the talent agent. Do you sort of tell actors, and a lot of actors had actually tweeted this into us earlier today, should we be contacting our agent every week? Hey, this and this person, I haven't gotten an audition. Any updates? I saw this, I saw that online. Like, where is it where you're being proactive in a good way, and where is it where it's like, okay, it's a little bit much? How do you know?
Well, an agent reps a lot of talent,
Right.
so generally you don't want to be too pushy, obviously,
Okay.
because but being proactive is good. So I usually have to train a little bit the talent into how to communicate so that they can do it well, even in, sometimes even writing emails, but, just communicating well and being positive, because things can get lost in translation as well and then come across demanding. You don't want that. So, picking up the phone is really good too, being, having a conversation. Usually, we're in touch quite a bit because of the ongoing auditions that you're going to, but certainly if a month has gone by and we haven't talked, I say, pick up the phone or email and we can chat about what's happening and what we put you forward for. So, and then you can also tell us what you've been doing, any student films, any theatrical productions, community theater, because we want to know what you're working on as well. So that when we talk to casting or producers, we can say so-and-so is doing this and doing that, because we are your advocate. So we want to be able to have something to tell them that you're working on.
You want to brag about your kids and all their successes and what, if they got the 100 on the exam or not. Yeah, okay, I think that's really good. Do talent agents train you? This was a big question we got on the way here. I was talking to lots of millennials coming in, and they said, can you ask her one question? Do talent agents train you? And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, do they tell you, okay, you're going for an audition, we're doing a lot of beauty commercials for you. That's kind of where we're heading. We're going to train you. Do they do that, or do they guide you where to go? That's the big confusion millennials are having now.
Train how?
In the sense like, okay, mock auditions, or train you on the guideline.
Right.
This is what you should go, or this is the attitude, because they feel like these talent agents have seen so many.
Right.
And they've seen the industry in and out.
As much as we'd love to, we're not acting coaches.
Okay.
And we leave that to the coaches and the acting teachers in the city that are great at that. And we don't have time. I mean, agents work on commission, right? So we need to be sending our talent out to all the right auditions that are right for them. And that's what we focus on, is getting the right audition for you, so that we're not wasting our time or your time.
Yeah.
And then we direct you to take classes at various studios in the city if you're not already in a class in university or college or performing degree, so that you can learn how to be on camera, and that learn the lingo and learn all the things that you need to know for auditions and improv classes. And so we'll direct you in where to do that. And they're very affordable, and they're weekend classes or 6-week classes. So we can give you tips, and we certainly have a lot of stuff on the website to give you ideas of what to do. So
we can go ahead and take them and feel free to use it. And I think one thing you said earlier is that there used to be this notion, and it still is in the industry, because I've met so many, talent agents can come off sometimes a little bit intimidating. Is that a tactic, or is that just genuinely the business, because it's a cutthroat business?
I don't know, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I just try and shoot straight and talk straight to the person, how I'd want to be treated. So, I understand, when you come to auditions, you're going to be nervous, especially for your agent. But that's why you have a couple of meetings, and you sort of get to know them and see, if it's the right fit, and just to get to know each other so you feel comfortable. And that's why audition classes are really important too, right? So as far as attitudes, there's going to be attitudes in modeling and acting in every business, even if you are in, business and finance or, anything.
Right. It's anywhere in the world.
It's everywhere. So, focus on the positive. There'll be a lot of people, naysayers and things like that, won't really want to wish you success, of course, except for your family and your mom. But, you want to, your best friend, right? So, if you, sometimes it's best to keep everything, quiet for a while until you get success, or, just, call your agent and talk to them when things are, or just ignore it. Like even going into an audition room, I say, stay quiet, focus on your audition.
Yes.
People are going to want to talk, and guess what? They're going to throw you off.
Of course.
Right? So it's a tactic.
Yep. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk to Anne about some more tips that she has for millennials to enter, and what AMP might be looking for, and if it's you for 2017. Stay tuned, everybody. I'm Richika Binder on #NoFilter. Thanks. I'm Richika Binder. Welcome back to #NoFilter. We are soaking in all this great information from Anne-Marie. I'm so excited to actually have you here finally. It's hard. Getting these popular talent agents is hard. I'm going to tell you that. And you are a busy woman, so thank you for coming on. Cassandra, we have all these tweets. Please pick one.
Okay, so we have a tweet from Lindsay, and it says, is it ever too late to break into the entertainment industry, and is there an age limit? So for AMP talent, what ages do you guys look for when recruiting new talent?
So the agency reps talent as young as 3.
Wow.
And then, so our kids division is 3 to 13, and then we
Okay.
have our teen youth division to 18, and then we have our adults that go up to 75. So, is there an age limit? Well, we don't have babies, so generally, unless some of the actresses have babies, then sometimes we'll put them on the roster
Yeah.
because they're cute. But generally, there isn't an age limit, and you can get started anytime. There's amazing success stories of actors who have had success later on in life, in their 30s or 40s. So, you know, the really great roles really start around 25, and you know, so it's more about being prepared and, you know, invest in yourself, invest in some training, invest in good headshots, and, you know, work with your agent and learn the business and learn the market and understand it. And even just watching Canadian television, a lot of American television, you know, you can learn a lot from that.
And I find now more and more faces are changing. Like even with AMP, your roster, and most of the roster now, I think it's great for millennials. And we spoke about this a little bit before. There's different faces, right? Commercials are coming off as a little bit more authentic. Things like sort of color, race, body height, weight, they're not as restrictive as they were before. You know,
true.
before you'd grow up and your mom would be like, well, if you want to be in acting or modeling, you need to be really thin and you need to be a certain way. And that's changed now. Do you find even casting directors are more open to different body shapes and types?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So there isn't, you know, one perfect body. It's all shapes and sizes, all backgrounds, all ethnicities, all different looks, from, you know, character to commercial. And you know, you will have, you may be on more on one side than the other, and you know, based on what you've been
Yes,
given,
of course.
your look. But that's another thing, is knowing your type, and that's something also you can have a conversation with your agent. And what is my type? What do you see me as? Like, what type of roles would I be going out for? And that may already be somewhat determined from the roles that you've played in theater, and also, you know, moving into film and TV.
And that's an important question I ask you, because I know a lot of people that are looking to get with talent agencies always have this fear. Am I too thin? Am I too big? Am I, you know, not the typical commercial
Right.
type? So I think it's important that our viewers know that, as you said, there's no sort of restrictive limit. And
Absolutely.
sitting down and understanding your type actually helps you market yourself, because you're marketing a product. That's what branding, I think, goes into it. Cora, I know you wanted to ask a few questions, so go right ahead.
Yeah, so myself, I'm trained in theater, so I just wanted to know, how does someone like myself transition into film?
Right. So theater is probably the best training ground for an actor, and some of the best actors in the world come from the theater, for sure. So you need on-camera training, and there's a number of great studios in Toronto that offer it, and we can give you a list of those, and you can apply to be in their courses. They've got courses all throughout the year, in the summer and the spring. So they, you know, they're boot camps, they're on-camera scene study, audition technique, 2 or 3 camera setups, sitcom classes, comedy classes, you know. So whatever, you know, whatever you're interested in, whatever you think that would be a good fit for you, start there, you know. So certainly that's what you want to invest in, is some on-camera classes. And then, so you can then, because acting for camera is different than acting for the theater,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
So then you learn the techniques of playing for the camera.
And Anne, should people sort of first sign with the agency and then simultaneously go to acting classes, or do you recommend do it and then come prep to me? Like, what is the better approach, or is there one?
It depends. If you haven't done any performing work before, it would be best that you take some training.
Okay.
Because you're going out for a job, right? Every audition is a job. And if you go out, you know, 7 seconds to make a great impression, if you go out and you kind of blow your auditions, you're not ready, that's not good for you, and it's not good for us, right? So you want to go out and put your best foot forward. So I would recommend taking some training and, you know, and then applying to the agency. But if you've had high school theater or university theater, college theater, local community theater, any of that, stand-up comedy, then you can still apply.
And we got a question earlier last week when a lot of our viewers knew about this episode. They said, what is the initial startup, and how do you know if it's too much? Because
Startup.
there's so many. So what is the cost for someone that wants to get into acting, wants to get, besides the headshots, where should they tentatively know, okay, this seems correct, this doesn't? Is there any websites, union websites, any, you know, industries that you recommend they always check?
Right. So there is a number of accredited schools, obviously, in the GTA that are available online, and so we can direct you to those
Perfect.
websites, and then you can decide which. A lot of the classes, which is great, you can adjudicate. So you can go in and sit in the class, watch the class, and see, is that teacher really right for me? And a lot of them also have videos on YouTube, so you can watch them in action teaching, and also discern whether or not that teacher is a good fit for you. So definitely we recommend the accredited schools so that you get the best training. In terms of costs, classes can be as little as $250 at Second City to $300, $400, $500, up to $1,000 for a 8-week course, 3 hours a week. Just depends on the type of study you're going to be taking.
Okay, and do you recommend sort of reviewing with your talent agent every year? Is it every 2 years? How does it work typically? So are you going to be sitting with your talent in every 6 months, or?
So we're talking online, talking through email and phone quite often. So then, there's not a long time in between when you haven't talked to your agent and you're in touch. But certainly once a year we have an annual review, and we discuss goals and objectives and feedback and new skills that you have that you've taken up, kickboxing or martial arts, or you've learned a new language, or where you are now, so you can add that to your skills. Certainly.
Wonderful. On the other side of the break, we will wrap it up with Anne-Marie Perreault from AMP Talent. Stay tuned, everybody. I'm Ruchika Bindra. Hi everybody, welcome back. This is our last few minutes with Anne-Marie Perreault from AMP Talent. We have gotten such fabulous information from you, the tweets, and everybody's just eager to sort of soak it all in and get this prime information. So I know Tyler, in a group full of ladies, the men always wait, but I will give you your minutes of fame. What question would you like
I just wanted to know how auditions work. Like do your agent tells you about the audition. Do you just go there and are you made to improv, or are you given a script to read off? How does it work generally?
Sure. So you'll get an email from the agency that gives you a full description of the audition and what you're auditioning for, and the character and what they're going to be expecting for you. Generally for commercials, it's a lot of improv. So being able to think on your feet and being a strong improv actor or talent is really helpful. And even if you're playing a version of yourself, being able to improv in the moment is really key. And a lot of brands and commercials that you watch today, you'll see that there's funny elements to it.
Yes.
So having some comedy skills are great too for commercials. And then sometimes there's script or a storyboard, and the storyboard will have a sort of cartoon strip of what's happening in the scene, and your character may or may not have any lines, but you have a one look. So you just read through the script and see where your character is and be familiar with the scene so that you can improv in the room. And then for film and TV, you generally will have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 lines depending on the length of how big the character is, and then you have to be fully memorized. And all of that information is always in the email to you, so then if you have any questions, you can ask the agency what questions you have, generally.
So a big part of auditioning is in prep work?
It is. The actor has to prepare for the audition.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good
and already know what they're going to do when they go in the room. So, having had it prepared several different ways is really helpful. Practicing in the mirror, getting, and because the director might say, I really like that, but I want you to do it this way. And so being flexible and going, well, I only, so practicing it different ways and being, clear on what you want to do in that performance and making it unique and your own.
And another, I think, a simple but important question for people that are looking to get into the industry is, how do I dress for an audition?
Ooh, good call.
question.
What do I look like? I've been sent, let's just say, you call me tomorrow, okay, you're going in for a furniture commercial. I don't know, what would I wear? How would I go?
Nice casual is not yoga attire.
Yes.
Ladies at home.
Okay, thanks for the reminder.
If they want fitness clothes, they'll ask for fitness clothes. But nice casual is nice, streetwear. What everybody's wearing today is perfect for an audition. Generally, color is really good. On camera, it makes you pop. So wearing all black or all white, it just depends on. We usually give you a description, but usually when you get your photo shoot done, they'll give you a description of different types of clothes, and those are the type of clothes you generally wear at an audition too. Wonderful. So, yeah.
I figure that would be an important question for a lot of us to know. In our last segment, I want to focus on something like how do you brand yourself as an actor or performer? So, you've signed with an amazing talent, you have AMP behind you. What do I do now? So Anne is out, her team is out working for me. What is our next step as an actor?
Well, you should, I think, people are savvy nowadays and realize branding is very, very important.
Yes.
And for new talent or millennials that are just getting started, I think, setting yourself up for success early is important. So branding your YouTube page, branding Facebook page, not your personal page, it's a Facebook fan page.
Yes.
And then Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, those are the main ones basically. You may not be ready for a website, and that's okay, but you can certainly get your name.com or .ca and have it in the background for later. And putting your headshots up there, you can certainly tweet about a lot of things, and we give you guidance on that. And there's also tips on our blog at the amptalent.com website. But you'd never you don't tweet you saying you're going to a Coca-Cola audition or things like that. But you can say I'm going to audition. Wish me luck. It's really about starting to engage socially and building your fan base, and it might be 400 of your friends from school, but that doesn't matter. You're building it up, and millennials, you've got so many friends within your community. Now is the time to do it.
Okay, that's a really good thing. I think branding is important as much as you're doing that work. Leading yourself up and getting people excited for you is important. Do casting directors ever do research on the models and performers? So let's say you said, I'm sending person X. Would they do sort of a Google search and see where they are or what people in the industry are saying about them, or if they have any media presence? Do they do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's commonplace nowadays.
Okay.
So they might look, certainly if the materials that I've sent them, they're limited, and they only have like a couple of headshots and they don't have a demo reel, then they may Google something and look at their YouTube channel or the different things to get an idea. Certainly for hosts, that's very common. Models may not have their name accredited to the shows that they've done or the products they've done. So
wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. We are so excited to have had AMP Talents Anne-Marie with us. If you'd like to check out her website, check out their roster, not only if you're interested in joining, but in just getting to know sort of this industry at amptalent.ca. .com, amptalent.com. And you can also follow them on social media and Twitter and Instagram as well. Very active. Thank you so much. And I'm Ruchika Bindra. I will see you next week on #NoFilter.